What's up, YouTube? It's Lions Fan Express coming at you with that man-to-man press. And in today's video, I'm going to do a Bryan Bresee draft profile. Now, he's been heavily mocked to go to the Detroit Lions in NFL mock drafts, and that's a name that's been floated around the Lions community as kind of a favorite. So I thought I'd look at his film, break it down, and give you guys what I saw. So let's get into it. So Bryan Bresee, he's a defensive tackle. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's 6'5", 305 pounds. He's from Damascus, Maryland, and he played at the University of Clemson. So in 2022, Bryan Bresee had 16 total tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. Now, one of the reasons why his numbers are so low, he did miss 6 games due to like some health concerns. I just wanted to give you guys that, but also that is kind of one of my concerns going into it is just the lack of production. So we'll get into that more later in the video. But start off with the positives. One thing that jumps off on his tape is his ability to take on double teams. He does that job really well, which allows his fellow defensive linemen to make plays. So really good player in that aspect. He's also a good run stuffer. His ability to stop the run, get into the backfield, penetrate, and stop the ball carrier is really kind of elite. At times, he shows that on film, and also his ability to pressure. So he's able to kick outside if he needs to, kind of as a 3, or play inside as a 3 tech, but also be able to kick out sometimes as a 6 tech and rush the passer. But really, primarily, his pressure comes from the interior. He's able to penetrate, get into the backfield, and cause havoc and cause the quarterback to, throw the ball away. You see that numerous times too on film. While he does get a lot of pressures, one of the concerns coming up I'll talk about more is, he doesn't finish, he doesn't get sacks, but he does get a lot of pressures. So that's a plus as well. But one of the concerns I had with him is his health. He did have a torn ACL back in 2021 that had him miss most of the season. So he's coming off of that. And then he also had kidney infection with some other minor health issues as well during the 2022 season. So he's only played in like 12 out of 24 games in the last 2 seasons, which is kind of concerning. Even so, that affected his production, which I understand completely. But even so, his production is pedestrian at best. Especially with a guy with his talent, with the eliteness that you see in flashes, you expect more of a production and more sacks and more tackles. So you just don't see that, on the stat sheet. So, and also his ability to get off blocks, I think, is one thing that he struggles with. Probably because he has shorter arms, but he sometimes struggles to get off blocks of the linemen, and that kind of causes him to not make tackles sometimes when he probably could. So overall, it's just some things that he has to clean up. But when it comes to his draft projection, I know I'm gonna upset a lot of Lions fans, but when it comes to Bryan Bresee, I know his draft projections, he's been flirting with the top 10. Recently, just this past week, his stock has gone down a little bit into kind of like the mid round, which kind of confirms what I've been seeing on tape. Just based on his production, lack of production, and also just what you see on tape. You see flashes of greatness from him, but he has yet to put it all together. He doesn't dominate like a top 10 pick should. Therefore, I just don't think he's worth a top 10 pick. If the Lions wanted to take him at 6, I would be upset, because I think he's more of an 18 pick than a 6 pick. In fact, I think he's a mid to late round pick, just based off the fact, not his talent, but just his production and the questions of his health, and just not being able to be that elite defender that you would see as a top 10 pick. Again, great player. He's able to, stop the run, and he has some ability to get to the passer as well when it comes to pressures, but he doesn't have a lot of sacks. He doesn't get a lot of tackles, which, again, as a defensive tackle, it's hard to do that. I understand, especially with his circumstances of missing games. But that's another big red flag. If you're missing a lot of games, how are you supposed to help your team if you're not on the field? So, again, I know a lot of Lions fans probably, might disagree with me on this, but I don't see it. When I watch his tape, I think he is a byproduct of the Clemson system. I think that having Myles Murphy on that defensive line, really helped make him look like a really good player, because they couldn't just zone in on him and block him, but they had to block Myles Murphy as well. So that gave him some more opportunities to shine when people are already looking at Myles Murphy as a top 10 pick, and he's kind of almost like the sidekick, and making him look like he's a top 10 pick, when in reality, he's a first round talent, but not in the top 10. So, I'm sorry I kind of went on a tangent, but that's just how I feel about it. I really am adamant that Bryan Bresee, again, a good player. I think he might be one of the overhyped players in the draft, honestly. And it sucks too because I'd love to have, for him to be a Lion, and because I think he'd really help when it comes to that position of need. We need a defensive tackle that can do these things, and he can do these things, but can he do it at elite level? Can he be? Can you rely on him? Can he be healthy for a full length of the season? I don't see that probably being the case. So. I'm going to be interested, obviously, see how he does in the NFL draft combine and pro days. Obviously, see if his medicals kind of check out as well. But don't be shocked if his stock continues to go down because, as people dive into his film more and more, they just hear the name. They think, oh, Bryan Bresee, oh, everyone's mocking him to the Lions at 6, so he has to be a good player. Well, you got to do your own research and see, like I had to do because that was me too. I thought, oh, Bryan Bresee is a great player. When I first heard his name and saw flashes of him, with highlights and stuff, but again, they don't tell the whole story. When you really break down his film, you're like, what's the hype about? Why he's only making a couple plays a game? Like this is a top 10 pick. So ultimately, I wish him the best of luck. Honestly, I hope he proves me wrong, especially if he gets drafted to the Lions, because I'd love to have, a guy with his story of, battling against the odds and, being a great person on and off the field. And it would be a great opportunity for him to shine in a city like Detroit. But at the end of the day, if I was Brad Holmes, would I take him at 6? No. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But with that being said, if you like the video, or maybe you disagree with the video, and that's completely fine, let's have a chat down below. And, who do you guys think I should do next as an NFL prospect for the Detroit Lions? And always, like I said, always like and subscribe. And let's go Lions.